All right, so today we're going to check out something that I won on eBay for $29.99. It was just listed in the middle of the night. I think it was just listed within like 5 minutes of me seeing it. I purchased it for $29.99, and let's check it out. Now it looks like a Victorian porcelain pin and a C clasp in the back, and it's a long-ended pin, meaning that the pin comes out the other end sticking out a little bit, meaning it's older. And these things can actually sell for quite a bit of money, even if they're not real gold. I'll show you an example. And so right here, here's one that's almost identical, being sold for $425. All right, let's open up the package, and we're going to convert this into a necklace. Now, brooches and pins really aren't in style anymore. Nobody really wears a brooch or a pin unless if I had a grandmother that was alive, you know what I mean? Unless like an 80-year-old woman was still with us. And let's hope that the seller packed this correctly and it didn't come bent up. And I see they put it in another box, which is very good. Good on them. And, all right, so we got, oh, I forgot my glove. Hold on, I'll be back. We can't have that now. We can't have any bloopers in my video. Oh my goodness, that was a disaster. All right, so let's check this pin out. Not that you care about seeing me open it, but I do this for documentation purposes. In case the item comes broken, I at least want proof to show the seller so he doesn't think I'm bullshitting. And so far it looks packed very well. And yes, even better than I thought, actually. All right, so we're going to check out the pin. If you hear I was going to say Rick roll. Don't mind me, I'm having another stroke. If you hear a racket going on in the background, now you know why. Because family members do live here too. And the studio of Antiques Roadshow is very small. I mean, Ghetto Antiques Roadshow. As you can tell, I'm having multiple strokes throughout this video. And I'm not making fun of stroke victims, trust me. Really that badly mentally capacitated. And, oh wow, this is actually much bigger than I thought. So this is actually much more beautiful than I thought. Let's check this out. Wow. Okay, who is this lady? This is actually known as Georgina Cavendish, otherwise known as the Duchess of Devonshire. And she was a direct descendant of, actually, Princess Diana of England. And she was friends with, I believe, Marie Antoinette, and was known as like a really fashionable lady back in her time. So if you look at the back of the brooch, we have a porcelain panel. This is really amazing that they could paint something so little, so tiny on a porcelain panel. And I'm going to take the camera off the stand so we can really, really examine this. And I'm trying to rid myself of the glares, because there's a lot of glares right now, just to show you how beautiful this porcelain pin was painted. So let's keep it in an upright position so the glare from the light above me doesn't shine. Wow, this is phenomenal. I got a mega deal of getting this pin for only $29.99. These pins sell for a heck of a lot more. As you saw, one was being sold for $425. Now, do they sell for $425? Believe it or not, yes. Something this nicely painted will sell for between the $250 to the $500 price range. Now, if this is real gold, then we're getting into a lot more money. Now, I can't tell if this is real gold. I will do a gold test later on. I highly doubt it. Let's try to get in there close and check it out. I highly doubt it. I think it could be brass, but we see the C clasp right here on the end. And what does the C clasp tell us? That this is an older pin. This pin was probably made between, I'm going to guess. Now I'm guessing. I'm no expert. I am not Dr. Lori. I am not the real Antiques Roadshow. But the fact that we had the C closure over here without a rollover clasp, which would have came later in the late 1890s, early 1900s, all the way through the 30s and up to today, is telling me that this pin is circa 1875 to about the 1880s. We do not have a tube hinge over here. It is a rounded hinge, but it is an older hinge. The other type of rounded hinges that would have came in the early 20th century would have looked a lot different than this. So it's a loop, you can see there, and you can see this metal stuff was actually rolled around the loop to create some kind of a hinge. Now today, on the Ghetto Antiques Roadshow, we are going to learn how to convert an old brooch into an actual necklace that you can wear around your neck. Well, you might say, well, how do you do that? Well, I'm learning too with you. So we're going to do this together as a project and see, does it really work? Okay, so we have our little pieces of ways to turn this into a necklace. We have a necklace. We have little pieces that are brooch converters, and I found these on Amazon. They're called Confess Clip-On Pin to Pendant Converters. Now, the problem is that this is such a large brooch. If you were to turn this over and place the chain like through this like little piece in the back, the pin part, it would actually flip over and move all around. So that's why you can't just I mean, you can, but it's just going to be awful. You can take a necklace and feed it through the back part of the pin or the brooch part. But these are supposed to stop that from wiggling around and moving. And then we have these pieces. And these are actual earring backs in all different designs and styles that I got for $4.99 on Amazon. Because what I am going to do is they're rubber. They're like little rubber pieces. I'm going to put one on one side of this little pin or clip pendant converter, and on the other side, so it can't slide across the pin, and then the pin would flip over or dip or tip. You know what I mean? You don't want that to happen. All right, let's go ahead. We have to figure out which one to put. Now, this is for a brooch that would go a different way. You can have it in up and down or horizontal. So let's go ahead. I'm going to place a napkin on here because we don't want to scratch our brooch. And so we're going to have to go with the longer of the two. Let's check it out. Yeah, we're going to have to go with the longer of the two and then put a rubber stopper on each side. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. So here's an example of one on brass, hand-painted, Victorian, $715. So as you can see, they are not cheap. And another, let's check this one out, $850, painted on porcelain. And yeah, $850. Let's keep going. As you can see, they are not cheap. If that's the same one, let's go to a different one. Okay, this one is an early, like a late 1900, like probably teens, Edwardian, to about the 1920s, being sold for $295. Not real gold. And let's keep going. And again, this is an early 20th century one, being sold for $395. And yet, another one, this one is actually a transfer wear. So this is actually not hand painted. It was a decal that was painted over. $550. And again, we have the Duchess of Devonshire. And let's continue to look. And here we have our friend again that I showed you earlier for 425 doll hairs. And you can see that it is not very cheap to collect these. And another one that looks identical to mine, 350 doll hairs. And yet, let's keep going. Last but not least, we have another one, a repeat that I showed you, but here's some more, 399 doll hairs, 365 doll hairs, 399 doll hairs. So as you can see, these can get very expensive to collect. All right, so I actually shot the video and I was showing you how to put the converter to turn the pin into a necklace. And I realized it ended up turning into 20 minutes. Nobody wants to sit through a 20-minute long video of some stupid broad talking about stupid shit. So here's what it looks like after, okay? And I am going to actually show you what I did really fast. We'll do it fast. How's about that? All right, so the pin actually has the converter on the back right here. And I put these little rubber sliders, and these are earring backs. I got them on Amazon for very cheap. And that stops this bail from sliding back and forth. And the reason why I had to use the shorter version, and I'll show you, there was 3 different versions that it came with. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get that. Okay, so now it's tightened. Now they do sell these. I got multiples of these backings, these rubber backings in all different shapes and sizes. It came in one pack for only, I think it was $4.99 or $5.99. You may want to get the assorted one because you don't know how thick your pin back is going to be. Some of these are a little larger than others, and you know, you might want to mess around and try to see which one will fit the best. And, you know, the problem lays in the fact that this bail piece that slips over, you know, this pendant piece that slips over the pin back or bail or whatever you want to call that. No, not a bail, but the pin back itself. Actually, the little holes on each end actually could be much wider than your rubber backing. And then this will actually go inside there. You don't want that to happen. So I suggest getting the assorted ones. They have all different assorted rubber backings for earrings for cheap. Okay, so this did turn this into a necklace brooch, but the problem lays in the fact that it does tip. Now, if you have an oversized, large antique brooch that you want to convert to a pendant, it's actually more easier to do with a smaller one. Like say this one. This one's like about 1.25 inches diameter size from here to here. This one being 2 inches long. So this one is much larger than this one. What happens, and I'm going to show you, see how this tips? So your brooch can end up tipping forward like that if you want to turn it into a necklace. And that's where the problem lays. So you could see that. The problem being that the pin back is actually so low down on this large pin. That's the reason why you have this tipping issue. Now, if you had a shorter and smaller one, you wouldn't have this problem. That's another thing I want to go over with you guys. If you're getting one of these little converters, you need to make sure and be mindful that about the size of your brooch. So if you have a large oversized brooch, you're going to need a longer bail. This bail measures about 1 inch long. So I don't know if you can see that. Now, half of the pin back going down the 2-inch brooch actually turns this 1 inch long bail into a much shorter bail. So I'm going to show you that. Now they do sell these converter pins with shorter bails for smaller pins. You have to be mindful and make sure you measure properly to make sure that you're going to get the longer bail converter. And thank goodness I chose these ones because they did have ones and I wasn't mindful. I didn't actually think about the bail situation, and that bail situation can be an issue if you want to convert this. If the bail is too short for your pin, you're not going to be able to convert it into a necklace. And you do have a tipping issue with larger, heavier pieces. You can lay it. It actually lays very, very nice on my mannequin. I haven't worn it yet, but if you're going to lean forward while wearing one of these heavier brooches, the problem lays in the fact that if you lean forward, I'm trying to get the glare out of here. If you lean forward, it's going to tip forward, and that is going to happen unless you get a jeweler to actually solder on a bail to this. This is your only way out to wear this as a necklace. All right, so I'm going to show you really fast on Amazon the different ones to choose from. Not too many sellers were selling these converters. The issue with that is they did have a lot of them, but they were actually, you had to pay for shipping. It did not come prime, and a lot of them did come from China. And this is actually quite beautiful. Look at this. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous, oversized, large brooch from the 1880s. So these are the different converters you'll find on Amazon. Some of them really cheap until you look at the fine print. You got to pay delivery, and it's not coming prime, and you're going to have to wait a while. Here's another example. You got to pay delivery. They do come in different colors: stainless steel, silver color, antique brass. But be mindful of the actual bail length. These are shorter bail lengths for smaller pins. You have to make sure that you get the right one, and you're going to have to do some measuring. Here's another one. This one is $18. It's silver and 14 karat gold plated, and it has a short bail. They have, here we go, we have an antique brass one, but of course you have to pay delivery, and it will take a long time to arrive. They have ones that are actually vertical and horizontal. So you have to figure out which type your pin needs. Here's different ones, $16.89. That's like absolutely ridiculous price, but it is sterling silver. So if you have a sterling silver brooch, you might want to keep it fully sterling silver. This is what I got, but I got mine in gold colored, $9.99. You get a 3-pack, a shorter one to go over the pin back, a longer one, and these are horizontal, 2 horizontals and 1 vertical. The earring backs, and by the way, I bought a package of all different kinds. I'll show you really fast which ones sell the assorted. So these are the ones I got. It's silicone earring backs, 800 pieces, soft rubber earring stoppers, and you get all these different types of assortments. It was only $4.99. It came prime. It came in like one day. And so you might want to decide which one to put on the back of your brooch so it doesn't slide back and forth with the converter. So as you can see, collecting these are quite a bit of fun if you don't want to wear them as a brooch and damage your clothing, because these old pin backs can actually damage your clothing by sticking the pin through your clothes. You could leave holes in it. You can turn them into necklaces if you have an old, necklace chain laying around the house. You can do that. It wouldn't be advised to actually place the necklace chain through here. I've tried that, and it does not lay flat across your bodice at all. It does not lay flat. It's sort of sideways and turned. So you might want to actually get the converter I mentioned. It's highly recommended. This you can turn right into an everyday wearable piece of jewelry, even though these are very, very, very old. Again, this one probably dated around 1880-ish. This one dated about the same. This one in ivory. And these are quite expensive if you get really good examples of them. Unfortunately, they are not cheap to collect unless you get a reproduction or an early 20th century one, probably made in the 30s or the 40s or the 1920s. Those ones, unfortunately, are usually transferware or decals that are painted over, poorly painted. You want to go with the antique original ones because they're painted with a lot of care and a lot of technique that the later decades of artists and jewelry makers did not possess. So these can get quite expensive. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you learned how to convert your antique brooch or pendant, into actually your antique brooch into a pendant necklace. And I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys all soon, and so long.